Okay, I wasn't really happy how my first recording of this turned out, and I think it's worth giving it another shot. Let's see what we can do here. So, Death Kings is the expansion pack for Hexen, and I find it a bit more enjoyable than the original, just because of the way the levels are designed. They're a little bit more streamlined. You don't have the seven portals confusing things right out the gate. You start with very quick access to your different weapons, and I don't know. I think the puzzles make more sense. Uh, for the character, I still think Fighter is good, but one thing this game does have a lot of is the Slaughtars. And if there's anything I can complain about in Death Kings, it is the Slaughtars. I'm not sure if I want to try the Nightmare mode here. Since Nightmare in any type of difficulty 5 is selected, it gives you fast monsters. And fast monsters is a little bit of a misleading title for the effect, because yes, the monsters are faster, but it's not specifically their movement speed, it's also how quickly they will cycle back to firing projectiles, which is the real problem. I got stuck by a bush. Dealing with lots of enemy projectiles, especially with the number of Slaughtars, or Centaur leaders, is a pain in the neck. And I've played it through once as the fighter. It's doable. This is, at the end of the day, not that hard of a shooter. That bush is gonna kill me. But it wasn't fun. That, however, is always fun. Ah, missed. Gotcha. Now, Ice Shards is not a good spell. Because even though the projectile spreads out like that, it has some weird quirks in how it calculates damage. That means, ideally, you hit enemies from a long way away with as many of these shards as possible, or you run up in their face and use it like a melee weapon. Which is not a great style for the caster class to have to take. Fortunately, the wand, while tedious, is very reliable. I think the annoying thing is that ice shards could easily be fixed. Oh, never noticed that. Texture misalignment. If it just rolled a little bit higher on damage, or they just didn't apply the strange effects they did to compensate for using it at close range. I'm being a little slow here because I took way more damage than I should have in that first room, and because right around this corner here is a trap. The first really big trap in the game. Attempting to climb these steps will spawn a bunch of chaos serpents all around you. Oh, yeah. Out there's a portal. It'll come up later. I think the best strategy is just to make a run for it, get around the serpents, grab the loot, open the secret door, and carry on. Ah, darn it. This could take a little while. Which, for all of the grief I give ice shards, freezing enemies itself never really gets old to me. I don't know where those ice shards went. Okay, come on, give me the other vial. This little garden of shrubs, one of the most frustrating pieces of terrain in the game. Alright, now I do want to just use the crystal wand to break through some of these trees. Make sure I'm not getting snuck up on. And hit this first switch. First switch of the game, hidden underneath a waterfall. What this switch does is it turns on a light and opens a door. It doesn't just turn on a light. In this room, which gives us access to the waterfall controls. Now we go back where we came, up the waterfall again. And now we're inside of the temple area, I guess. It's not really clear what this is. Never gets old. Other than when you get stuck behind the statue. Not good for speed running. I could switch weapons and just smash it. There's one more guy over here. There we go. I like my mouse button sticking a little bit, because it takes a little bit longer between shots than I would like. There's no reason to walk down that way, so I'm just going to crystal wand down this narrow corridor for a little while. Finish him off. Darn it. I'm grabbing as many of these as I can because even though Death Kings isn't exactly hard, you can lose a lot of health very quickly, especially when you're playing as Wizard. Now, we hit that switch, which opens a door all the way back at the beginning, and conveniently, there is a passage all the way back to the beginning. Ah, jeez. Now, interestingly, on the easier difficulties, some Chaos Serpents pop out of that door. That was fun. Anyway, that route gets us to the Silver Key, which I probably should have explained earlier is our real objective. At least at this point. Now, I could fight my way through the horde of monsters, but I think it's probably a better plan just to... oh, right, forgot the well. Jump down this well to get an item that I never remember to use properly. And take the shortcut Get out of here. There's one more down there. Use this key here. I missed. I'm gonna have to... And one last horde of enemies, and we are done with the Forsaken area. Just kind of zap these guys. Ouch. So, the biggest problem we might have with the mage is it takes a while for him to get his good weapons. So much so that I can't actually remember where his good weapon is. We have a choice of a couple areas to go to first. Jade Door, Horn Door, Swamp Door, and Cave. And waiting for us out down there is a bunch of centaurs. I should say slaughters. These are the ones that shoot at you. So I'm gonna cheese them. Because fighting them normally is no fun. Now, in order to get the keys, we need to venture down some corridors here. Oh, he actually hit me. Yeah, we're just gonna... do that for a bit. Okay. Going down there opens the path up here to what appears to be a dead end, but misaligned texture. That means there's probably a door. There's not a lot of just walls you can use in this game. There's a couple. Most of them I think are actually in this map. Man. Elevator. Dang it. I'm sorry, it's so bad, but it's just satisfying to do. I don't know. I shall tank those shots for my failure to melee. Isn't there like a trap here? Alright, that grabs us the key. And... this takes us back to the beginning. I think there's one more thing that we want to do. Oh yeah. This is just a normal centaur, I think. So I'm just gonna pick him off while I can. Take the rest of these flechettes. The mage's flechettes are okay. They're not quite as good as the fighter's flechettes, but they can be used to deal with slaughters, which is, in my opinion, the main reason to use them in the first place. So, stun it, drop a flechette, thing explodes. Ah, dang it. Didn't quite... I should have dropped two. Oh well. Chaos Device takes you back to the beginning of the stage. It's got its uses. Oh. The other reason not to play on Nightmare Mode is these guys, where Fast Monsters basically tells Monster AI to bypass its normal checks for projectiles, and basically, if it can shoot a projectile, it does. No repositioning, no anything. Dang it, I keep hitting his corpse. The other problem with ice shards is it doesn't seem to trigger a pain chance on melee. Which might be a benefit, actually? Because Slaughters, now that I think about it, only block when they have pain, but that requires standing in melee range of Slaughters, which, I'll have to experiment with that later. The melee attack hits about as hard as the fighter's melee at the same level. It's got like a slightly lower maximum damage and a slightly higher minimum damage. So it's viable. Oops. Not quite far enough to drop him. This elevator will come up later. Or not. I sometimes forget to use it. I just realized I should have probably broke this video up once I went through the first portal. So, what I'm going to do is get killed by gargoyles. Alright. That's goofy around. That's a corridor of them. Okay, I'm gonna hit that switch. Bring some potions. Jeez, that was close. And break off the recording.